Hey gang, Massad Ayoob here for the Wilson Combat Channel. We're at the Wilson Combat Factory in Berryville, Arkansas. And today's topic, like many of our topics here, come from you, the viewers. We read the comment section, and when you ask, hey, could this or that expert address this or that topic, we're listening. Question came, if it's customary to have a manual safety on a cocked and locked hammer-fired pistol like this SFT9, why shouldn't it be on a single-action striker-fired pistol like this Wilson Combat SIG P320? Well, SIG saw that coming, and that is in fact an option. And that's how the P320s bought by the U.S. government for the military, the M17 and M18, do have that feature. Now, what's the rationale? Is it redundant? That's arguable. If the job of the gun is simply take it out of a safe holster, point at the target and pull the trigger and go bang, we're golden. However, out there in the field, there are other concerns. Sometimes you do not have the proper dedicated holster. Sometimes you may have been rolling around in the dirt or in the mud. There is a twig, let's say, that got caught in the open mouth of the holster. And as you go to holster your pistol, something other than your finger catches, you go into that appendix holster and bang. The single, obviously, most common thing that's going to catch is the finger of a careless shooter. And it may be self-inflicted, it may be victim precipitated, as some say. It's still tragic. Maybe you've had to pick that gun up in an emergency and just shove it into the waistband. There is one very tragic case out there of that happening with a standard 320 with devastating tragic results. It's believed that a fold of clothing got inside the trigger guard, and that's what caused the shot to be fired. With the manual safety, that's simply not going to happen. It's one more safety net. Now, the downside of that is one more movement in the manual of arms. As you're coming up for the shot, you're going to have to take the safety off. You're going to have to remember to re-engage it before it goes back in the holster. But since before 1911, people with semi-automatic pistols have been learning to do that anyway. They can, you can. With some pistol designs, there are concerns about them being able to go off when dropped. The manual safety may mitigate that depending on the internal design of the given handgun. To me, the cardinal, most proven advantage of the manual safety on any of these guns is in the area of weapon retention. Someone has attempted to disarm you and murder you with your own firearm. If that firearm is proprietary to the user, and a certain lever needs to be applied to turn it on before it can kill anybody, it buys you time. In 1967, the Illinois State Police became the first major department in America to adopt a semi-automatic pistol as standard issue service sidearm. It was the Smith & Wesson Model 39 9mm. The officers were given the choice of carrying it on or off safe, given that it was a double action gun and was deemed safe in either condition. A decade or so later, 1977, I was allowed by the Illinois State Police and the Ordnance Unit to do a survey of the troopers on that. One of the things that we discovered, we were able to identify 13 troopers who in that decade had survived with that 9mm semi-automatic and probably would have been killed if they'd had the old 6-shot revolver. 4 of those, it was firepower. The shooting had gone past 6, and they never would have had time to reload a revolver. A couple of them, there had been a struggle for the gun. They had pressed the magazine release button and dropped the magazine, and that particular gun had a disconnector safety. And once the bad guy got the gun away, he was unable to fire the round in the chamber. But all the rest of them, the majority of those saves, were the manual safety. They had disarmed the trooper, pointed a gun at the trooper, pulled the trigger, sometimes multiple times. And they were unable to do so because they were unable to find the lever that turned on the killing machine. We've seen that again and again around the country. In 1981, a study was done in Florida that was published in Police Chief magazine. The nation was still pretty much revolver-centric for police sidearms. And what they did, they took a double-action revolver, the standard issue revolver of the department, and a 1911 pistol, cocked and locked. The study group came from civilian employees of the police department, secretarial, janitorial, administrative, as opposed to sworn pistol-packing officers. Some of them knew something about guns, some of them didn't. They were told, here's the scenario. This target right here in front of you is the police officer. You have just snatched the gun from him, and you're going to try to murder him. Bang. With the revolver, average time was 1.2 seconds. With the semi-auto, average time was 16.8 seconds, if I recall correctly, before they figured out which of those little buttons and levers turned on the killing machine. Similar tests have been done nationwide around the country, and departments using on-safe guns have experienced actual saves many times over. So the weapon retention feature is a distinct advantage. We all like to believe, I'll never let a bad guy get my gun away from me. Every cop who was ever murdered with his own service pistol probably would have said the same thing in the seconds before it happened. There has been a prevalent principle called KISS, K-I-S-S, keep it simple, stupid. Whenever I hear keep it simple, stupid, I hear someone telling me I'm stupid. And you know what? It ain't simple, you ain't stupid. I would submit to you that 16 or 17 seconds allows you to do many unpleasant things to that individual to get your gun back, or to run a considerable distance, either of which is way better than standing there and being shot 1.2 seconds later. We also have, with some types of firearms, where there have been cases of them discharging when they have been dropped, the manual safety being engaged may prevent that, and that's going to depend entirely on the internal design of the firearm in question. In safe handling, safe holstering, just as with a pistol like this double-action Beretta from Wilson Combat, thumb on hammer locks the weapon in place. If anything caught the trigger, the thumb is holding the hammer down, it can't rise, and therefore it can't fall. With a 1911 type pistol, thumb on the back here would activate the grip safety on the conventional style. On this one, if the safety had been off and something interdicted the trigger, the thumb would still catch the hammer and prevent the discharge, as you see here. With a striker gun with the thumb safety, you have basically that same effect. If something has caught the trigger, we have one more safety net here to keep it from happening. It's not the most popular modification. The majority of P320s are sold without the manual safety, point gun, pull trigger. With the Smith & Wesson Military and Police series, which had the optional thumb safety from the beginning, I don't think they've ever sold more than 30% of them with the manual safety, based on my discussion with Smith & Wesson people. So the choice is yours. The manual safety does give you one more safety net. They don't call it a safety for no reason. It does, however, require one more set of manipulations to be part of your particular manual of arms. The decision is yours, the commitment to training is yours, based on your threat profile, your habituation, your realistic self-assessment of your particular needs. We'll look forward to seeing you down the road in other Wilson Combat programs. Be sure to subscribe, and we'll look forward to your commentary. We'll see you next time.